Okay. Um Hello everybody. How you doing today? I'm uh I'm doing pretty good. I'm, you know, chilling. I've had a pretty good week so far, so I'm just kind of doing my thing, and I decided I wanted to make a video cuz there's a lot of stuff going on in the world of film and I figured I should probably talk about it. Um or I don't need to, I guess, but I wanted to offer my opinion on it, I guess. Um, so Hollywood is kind of they're struggling right now. They're pretty struggling pretty bad, I would say. And there's a few reasons for that, and I guess one of the reasons I was kind of hesitant to talk about this is because it seems like it's kind of being talked about by everybody right now, and I wasn't sure if I'd have anything really new to say or any really meaningful input on the whole situation. But I figured maybe I'd try. There are a few thoughts I have and whatever, right? So my main my main point, and I well, okay, before I get to my main point, I just want to say that I do support the strikes. I support, the actors and writers and everybody getting getting what they deserve, getting compensated fairly for the productions that they work on. I think I think these, especially in these big studio systems, these people tend to be pretty overworked, underpaid, undervalued. Especially writers, editors, special effects people. I mean, how many articles do you see coming out of the big Marvel movies and all that, talking about the crunch time hours and special effects artists and stuff, and you know yeah, and including writers and stuff too. The other day I was watching this YouTube video, and it was this guy who was reviewing Phase 4 of the MCU, and I, I can enjoy a video kind of dumping on the ACU, MCU a little bit. Um, just I don't know, just to make fun of it. They can take it. They have all the money in the world, and they make the biggest movies ever and all that. And so, but as he was talking about the oh the Miss She-Hulk show. She was talking about the She-Hulk show, and he was he was obviously making fun of it and all this other stuff, and She-Hulk is one of those things where, like, I'm down to make fun of pretty much any MCU property. That one people get like weird about because, like, I don't know, there's a lot of like weird sexist people out there, so anytime people start talking about that one, I'm like, all right, do you hate it for like weird reasons, or I don't know. Anyways, he was talking about he mentioned something in the context of these writer strikes and stuff like that. It made me be a little bit more I don't know, I started thinking about it more because he was making fun of essentially the writers are writing a character. She-Hulk, I don't know the character's real name. Tatiana Maslany is the actress. So her character is a lawyer in the show, and the YouTuber was making fun of the fact that the writers clearly just don't know how to write courtroom drama. Like, they just don't know lawyer lingo. They don't know how to write an actual case. And so any opportunity they have to avoid writing actual like courtroom proceedings or anything like that, they'll take that. They'll take an easy way out or something like that. It's kind of funny. It's kind of whatever. But with these with the writer strikes and everything going on, it just kind of made me think about, like, I wonder if, like, they were given more time, they probably would have made it better, right? Like he kind of makes fun of them for being lazy, but like, if you're being given this super strict deadline and you're being pressured to make content for the this huge streaming service, and you need to write however many episodes of a series, and it's a superhero series, like, you have to kind of crunch time, and it probably something's going to fall to the wayside. So you got to make sure, you're writing a superhero show. You got to make sure that there's like a certain number of like action scenes and everything. And you got to get all the interpersonal drama of the characters and yet all the world building. And I'm sure MCU, the producers there have a lot of like strict things of like, this needs to happen in the show. This needs to happen so we can set this up for movie 212 or something like that. And so, the writers probably under so much stress there that like, of course, something like the character being a lawyer, they probably just don't really have time to even research it or make it somewhat accurate to how real life proceedings would go. Whereas if they were given more time, they probably would have taken that time to make it better and make it more realistic. I guess it's kind of the same idea as the VFX artists, but because I don't know, I guess people are more forgiving of VFX artists. I wonder if there's just more like articles published where a VFX artist complaining than writers, but I don't know. Or maybe it's just people like to shit on writers. That's kind of a big thing. Is like during these writer strikes, so many people are like, oh, like who cares if we don't have writers? They pump out all this bad content anyways, and then they'll show stuff like She-Hulk, and it's like, is that really I mean, sure, it can be bad writing, but like, and I guess there are bad writers in Hollywood. I'm not going to say that there aren't bad writers, but like, is it because they're lazy and they don't want to do research and they don't want to write the best script that they can, or is it because they're being given these impossible deadlines that are they don't really get the time or the space to really be creative, and so they end up taking these really cheap easy way out solutions in terms of the storytelling, and not being able to fully immerse themselves into the character and the world that the character's supposed to inhabit, and and so I know that like, if the quality of my script, if I'm being tasked with writing something, it's going to be a lot different if I'm given 3 or 4 months to write something than if I were given a year to write something. I'm gonna be able to go back through and make a lot of revisions. I'm gonna be able to do a lot more drafts and stuff, and obviously make it better over that time period. But if a show is being announced and it's got to come out in a year, then obviously you don't really get that time, that writing period time. You probably only have a couple months to really start writing, and then by that time you got to start filming, and then when they start doing the VFX and stuff before they're even finished filming. So it's just the whole thing is just crunch time, and everybody's just being rushed, and it's whatever. Anyways, that was a big tangent that didn't really have much to do with anything. um Main thing I wanted to say is I hope Hollywood crumbles, or at least the studio system that has incentivized this kind of work, and has created the situation that we're in. And like I said, this has been kind of talked about to death. There's this series of movies not doing that well at the box office. The most recent in a long line of summer films being Mission Impossible. That one, it's not, I don't think it's doing terribly, especially not if you include the worldwide box office, but it's definitely not doing what they expected. And Indiana Jones, Elemental, I mean, everybody's talked about this stuff. And so but a lot of it is, or a big part of it is, these budgets are so high. Everybody's talked about the Indiana Jones $300 million budget, which is insane. um and they have these giant budgets, and they have I don't know, there's so much going into these things, and they become these very huge things where they're too big to fail. They can't just fail, and they can't find an audience. They need to have a built-in audience right away. Obviously we hear a lot about opening weekend box office, and there's I was reading something last night, where they apparently Disney Plus had like a movie on it. They had uploaded. They had put this movie on Disney Plus. I think it was called like Crater, and it was a Disney Plus original, and it only was on there for like a month because it wasn't getting the viewership that it needed to, I guess, be sustainable on the platform, and they removed it. They removed it from the platform, and it was a fully original film that was made and uploaded to, I keep saying uploaded, I don't know, it was put on Disney Plus, and it wasn't really given time to find an audience, and that's really sad, because I that's something I've been talking to a lot of people about this recently, is like, we need, especially Disney, like, just to hone in on Disney real quick, like, Disney is putting so much stock in these, huge brands that, we all know, and we're nostalgic about and stuff, and they're not putting as much effort into their original, family films that they have historically done really well. I was just talking to people, like, the movie Holes, that's a Disney movie. That's one of my favorite movies, like, of all time. Bridge to Terabithia, what a great family film that is impactful and deep and really emotionally complex. And it's a great film to, I don't know, introduce to a kid, as kind of a way to, like, introduce this idea of grief. And I mean, obviously it's very heart-wrenching and stuff, but these are the kinds of movies like Holes and Bridge to Terabithia that, like, those are my favorite kinds of Disney movies. Those are really layered, complex films, and if they were made today, they wouldn't go to theaters. Certainly, they would be spat up on Disney Plus, and then I don't know if they'd last. I'm not sure how well they'd do. They're not tied to anything but the original books that they were based on, but nobody reads, so I'm just, people read, but but it's different, and you're not quite so sure if something like that would even be made today, much less kept on the platform, if it doesn't get the viewership that it needs right away. And so this, Hollywood, these big studios, they have this very, like, cutthroat, this very cutthroat approach to everything, because it extends into the people who work and are trying to approach these industries. And I'm a filmmaker myself, and when I was younger, I always imagined myself, being part of this whole tradition, this whole system, that they produce these big films and stuff, and I always wanted to be one of those people. And but the older I've gotten, the more and more it's been drilled into my head that, like, the chances of you making it there are near impossible. It's like getting to the moon. It's and people have told me again and again that, like, you need to do this and that to get into the Hollywood to studio system to be a successful filmmaker. You have to kiss so much ass, and you have to kiss the right asses, and you have to work for people that you hate and that take advantage of you, and you have to do these internships, these unpaid internships in LA, one of the most expensive places to live. And I'm somebody where I can't do that. That's it's very expensive, and it's hard to do, and it's weird that they're asking people to do that. And so it only ensures that only the wealthiest, most able, or the wealthiest people are able to do that. Because who else is gonna be able to afford something like that? And then when you're in these unpaid internships, that's not even guaranteed to lead anywhere. It's just, you do some free work for some people for a little bit, and then if you're not impressive enough to them, you just kind of go on your merry little way. And that's really sad. And the longer that this is around, it only ensures that Hollywood is just the most paywalled, gate kept place, in the art world in general. Because I don't think any other art form is as hard, or not even as hard, because filmmaking isn't, it's not difficult to do anymore. You have a camera on your phone, most likely, and you can make stuff with anything you have around you. That's what's amazing about it, right? But like, it's just so early on, it's the only thing that's drilled into your head repeatedly, that like you just can't do it. Like, and, if you pick up a guitar, people are usually, oh man, that's awesome, like or if you paint or something like that, it's not as shat on as filmmaking, or if you're an aspiring filmmaker. And there's so many. And I don't know, with film, it's so weird. People get so weird about it. They say that there's all these ways that you have to do it, and like, these studios have been around for, like a century, some of them, and they've been doing the same thing, and for 100 or so years. Disney's been around for fucking ever. Warner Brothers has been around forever. MGM, all these other places, they're giants, and they've been doing the same shit since the 20s, the 30s, and they created this world of film that we know today. But it doesn't need to be this way. It doesn't need to be what the world that they created, because now we have so much more. We have, obviously, 100 years ago, the cameras were giant, and only the most richest people in the world could afford anything that could shoot a whole movie. And, you needed a whole crew to operate stuff. But now, I'm able to make stuff with, I've got a camera, and then I've got a couple mics, and I just hook it up to the camera. Or even fucking this, if I were really desperate, I could make a whole movie on here. I've got this mic, and it's so much more accessible now. And yeah, and so it saddens me that obviously people are being taken advantage within the studio system, but I really do hope that it wakes people up to the idea that there are more opportunities in film outside of that system. The way we know it today, that's not how it has to be. And so and I think somebody who's been outspoken about this recently, I liked what he had to say about it, is Mark Ruffalo. I like, he's encouraging people to do more indies, which I know is less money, and it's probably not as exciting or enticing to these giant actors. But like, honestly, nobody ever needs to be paid $40 million for doing a movie. Leonardo DiCaprio's, I think Leo's a great actor, but like, he doesn't ever need to be paid as much as he is for doing a movie. Like, and the Robert Downey Jr.'s, I don't know how much he's paid now, but I know for like Iron Man, he was paid outrageous amounts of money. And it's so bizarre. And it just cranks the budgets of these movies up so much. And I think when people think of like lower budget films, they think that they can't be as exciting as the big budget movies, but that's not true at all. I mean, these these movies are still in the millions, but like, Everything Everywhere All at Once, that was made for a much lower budget than any of these superhero movies that are coming out, or especially Indiana Jones, or anything like that. That was a super exciting, easy to watch movie. But even beyond that, you could go even lower, and it's still exciting. You could get stuff like Man, I love stuff Jim Cummings has been doing. Those are all like he makes some really fun, exciting movies, and film is a lot more attainable than ever now. And it'll probably require people, embracing a more local, a more probably a little downgrade in pay as far as the highest people in the industry. But I think you could have, I'd like to look to other like artistic mediums and industries, as as a way to model the film, that maybe this new world of film after, of like, what I would love more of are like, I want like filmmaker hometown heroes, in the same way that like there's a local band or like a painter or like somebody, some cities or towns have these people that everybody within the town worships, and they love them, and I don't want anybody to be worshipped, like an actual like, cult like figure or anything, but they're hometown heroes, like I said. And I would love for more like filmmakers to emerge like that, where it would be so cool if we had filmmakers who came about where they grow up, and they don't feel the need, obviously they can move if they want to, but they don't feel the need to move to somewhere like LA or New York or any of these other super expensive places. And they could just make the films that they like wherever they are. And and just operating outside of the studio system is it's a kind of imperative. And honestly, you're seeing a lot more success with I mean, I know this is a controversial film, but it is an example of something operating kind of outside of the studio system. It's obviously a little bit more wrapped up in it. But what is that movie? The child trafficking one? Ah, fuck, I can't remember. It was like Sound of Freedom, I think, right? I think that's it. That one that one's a bit different, but it's definitely showing an unconventional way of going about the film system, or the movie theater system, and all that, the way it's doing its tickets, and the whatever, right? And so I would love for more movies to do stuff like that, that aren't like appealing to this weird fucking conspiracy crowd or whatever. I would love for just like cool movies to do that. But I think it's definitely showing some sort of alternative, which is good. That's what we need to see right now. Even if it's coming from a place that I don't personally love, I would love to see more of that stuff happen. And so like I said, I would love like more hometown, filmmakers to start popping up, or I think a good way of maybe more movie theaters should approach stuff like film festivals. And so you're seeing so many filmmakers go online, and Patreon is a thing, and crowdfunding and all this is like, what if the primary way that we support film is through getting something that we really want to be made, and then obviously we would have access to watching the finished product, instead of relying so much on box office. These are just ideas that I'm throwing out, but there's ways to restructure the movie industry, to the point where like maybe the primary way that a film makes money or is supported isn't through purchasing tickets, without having to get rid of the movie theater, right? So like, because obviously I love going to the movie theater. It's such an important experience. I'm going to see Barbenheimer tomorrow. So I'm like, I'm definitely not like above, going to the movie theater, or even watching these big studio movies. Like I'm very excited to see both of those tomorrow. But what if like, what if the kind of the way I see it is like, what if we supported like filmmakers, like it became more of a regular thing on like through Patreon, or what if we did start like, instead of paying this amount to this streaming service every month, or this amount to go see this movie in the theater, what if we started donating to these crowdfunding campaigns of these filmmakers that we believe in, or if there's a project we think sounds really cool. You know, obviously just really utilizing the internet now as a, you know, true way to progress the medium of film. And then, you know, you can still see the movie in theaters, but like what if filmmakers toured with their movies? And you know, I know that's doesn't sound as exciting as like just being able to go see a movie whenever you want, but like, you know, what if it became a lot more of an event where, you know, almost kind of like I said, like a film festival where like the movie is coming to town, and the filmmaker is going to be there. You're going to be able to ask questions and stuff, or maybe, you know, the movies, you know, they still go to theaters and all that, but you know, it's more it's less of like a studio thing of like, obviously Disney can get its movie played anywhere, and it's more of like a popularity on the internet. Well, that would introduce its own thing. But you know, like, yeah, it's just, I'm just spitballing ideas, but there's so many ways to reorganize the way we look at cinema and in the art form that it can be. And I definitely think that people like Mark Ruffalo are really onto the, you know, a good idea here, or you know, onto something bigger. And I hope that this medium becomes more inclusive, to pursuing filmmaker, you know, people like me, because I mean, you know, I love movies. I've always wanted to be a filmmaker. I am a filmmaker, but it gets so exhausting constantly worrying about if I'm ever going to be able to make what I want to make. And you know, and I understand that, you know, regardless of how the studio system could get shaken up or whatever, that's always going to be a fear. But like, for example, right? When I first started out my film journey, I was in high school, and I started out just wanting to be a screenwriter. And so I bought all these, you know, film textbooks on screenwriting, and all of them were teaching you how to write a script, but they were teaching you how to write a script that you could sell. It was very dated, and I felt like it was dated too. When I was reading it, I was like, this isn't like, you know, it's not teaching you how to write something that's true to yourself, how to be, you know, the most expressive person, or even, you know, there's parts of it that are like, oh, how to make like an engaging character or a narrative and stuff like that. But the biggest thing was how you can write something that is marketable to a large audience that you can sell to a studio. If you were to send your script to a studio, can you get past that first page before the fucking producer's assistant's nephew fucking throws your script in the garbage? Can you like capture them with fucking whatever? It's like, this sucks. I hate this. I hate the way this sounds. I hate how exclusive it is. It sucks. And you know, it just nails in your head that like nobody gives a fuck about your work, about something that I could have spent 10 years on that script, just, you know, plugging away at it, just, you know, making sure it's good or whatever. And you know, maybe the first minute of the movie is something I want to be just a little bit boring, and somebody's like, it's dumb, like throws it away and doesn't engage with the artistic anything about it beyond just like how entertaining is it right away, you know, or how, you know, is it too similar to this other thing that this other person did, or you know, there's no way to sell this. How can I sell it? And I don't know, man. It's just this whole thing is like I said, I want the Hollywood industries, I want these big studios, I want them all to disappear. And even if I miss out on movies that I'm looking forward to, I am okay with that. I am okay with that if we get a radical restructuring. I don't need to see Spider-Verse 3, even though I love the most recent one. It's one of my favorite movies of the year so far. I don't need to see the third one if I know that people are going to be, you know, taken advantage of, exploited, you know, if you know, it if it feels like everybody is getting stepped on to just make more profit, to make more money, and now they know that this franchise is super super successful, and it's just it kind of breaks my heart because I love all the ideas and the creativity that go into this kind of stuff, but the studios don't really value that. It's pretty clear. They just value you know what comes out of it, what comes out of the efforts that these people put in. And I guess you could make criticisms of the way this goes all the way to the top. You could, I guess, attack the whole idea of like capitalism and producing art under that. I don't know, I guess I mean, I think you'd probably run into similar issues with producing art under any other system. So it's it's definitely not like, I don't think it's ever going to be perfect, but it sucks the way it is. And I don't know, man. I just wanted to talk about it for a little bit. I feel like I've been rambling for a little while. But yeah, I'm in support of, if these big executives never come to terms and or agreement with the actors or the writers. I mean, I think they will probably at some point. People, I don't know what's gonna happen, to be honest, but I am in favor of everything falling apart, and then us building from the ground up. I really hope to see, people like me, people like my friends, and everybody else step up, and I want to see everybody, not even just me and my friends, but I want to see anybody who's interested in filmmaker, who is a talented creative person. I want them to have their fair shot. That's what I want. I want, obviously, and I think that's part of, it's part of our duty as consumers, is we don't just, 'cause I definitely think that consumers are a little bit to blame, because I mean, the reason the studios keep pumping out the unoriginal bullshit that they do is because we keep buying it. Like, Disney Plus became one of the most subscribed to streaming services when it launched or whatever, and like, we keep buying tickets to all the Marvel movies, well, except for, I guess, recently it's not as much, but like, to be fair, the consumers have spoken a little bit more with the dumb Hollywood movies that have been coming out lately. But it's like I said, it's on us to promote stuff we actually want to see. A lot of people will talk shit, but they won't really put their money where their mouth is. I'm a server, right? And so I work at a cafe. I've had a couple conversations with like old dudes who come in. They're like, Hollywood can't do nothing now, and it's like, okay, what was the last movie you saw? And they'd be like, It's so unoriginal," or whatever. And I'd be like, yeah, what was the last movie you like paid money to see in a theater? And they're like, John Wick 4 or like Avatar 2. And I'm like, well, that's not, it doesn't help, right? Like, what, my favorite movie of the year so far is Blackberry by Matt Johnson. That is, an original biopic movie. I loved it. I thought his direction was so fun and exciting. That's a low budget movie that is really exciting. It's just as, exciting as any superhero, probably more exciting than most superhero movies I see now. I mean, I liked it a lot more than fucking Ant-Man. But yeah, and I don't know, man. It's just, and anyways, yeah, putting your money where their mouth is. People are, you see people promoting a project on, GoFundMe or Indiegogo or something like that. Check it out. Maybe the idea is really cool there, and maybe that's something that you could show support for, right? Or even just like perusing maybe that should be more of a thing, is like just promoting, like, I don't even know if Indiegogo has like a film section on it. See, I'm a hypocrite. I don't even do this shit. But like, instead of going to like Fandango and like seeing what movie to buy tickets for, go to like Indiegogo and be like, what movie, what project should I support? or Patreon. I don't fucking know. It's something, right? Maybe these kind of like funding platforms for these up and aspiring artists, or artists in general, not just aspiring, they're already artists. Maybe they can make it a little easier and accessible to the general public to to help these artists fund their projects. And then that can kind of reorder the structure of how we view art, and how we support artists. Maybe that could be a little more encouraged, versus all these streaming services. Maybe we can, and I guess to kind of pull this out of just the film context, maybe that's how we support people, instead of just listening to music on Spotify, and people hoping to get this many plays or views, or YouTube getting this many views, or something like that. Is we can actually donate, support artists, and get our stuff that way. I like the YouTube format. I like what people like. There's people like Joel Haver on there who he puts out all of his projects for free, and then obviously you can support him financially if you want to. I like that approach where people just produce what they can with what they have, and then if you want to see them do bigger things, get more of a budget, you can support them. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'm just throwing shit out there. Obviously, these ideas can probably, so many of them could have like holes poked in them and be like, well, if you did that, then this would happen. It's like, well, fuck, okay. But I'm just trying to show that there's ways we can outthink the studio systems. There's ways we can get around what we have right now, because obviously what we have right now isn't working. And I would like something better. I would like more people to be able to create what they want to create. Obviously, not everybody in the world can be a successful artist or filmmaker. Obviously, there's going to be people who are better at it than others. But I would like everybody to have a fairer shot than what they have now. And the way these studio systems are set up is almost nobody has a fair shot. Nobody except the super rich, except for a lot of nepo baby discourse, stuff like that. It's people who have been in and around the industry, or have an easy way into the industry. It's all about who you know. That's something you hear all the time. And so obviously that's not working. So anyways, thank you for listening to me rant and ramble about that. I'm gonna try and upload a little more frequently. So yeah, I'm not really doing these as streams anymore. So I have that chat thing, but it's not gonna do anything. I'm pre-recording this and I'm gonna upload it, but oh well, I'll figure it out. We'll get it all figured out. All right, bye guys.